So let's get started. So why don't you come onto your back? So I thought we'd start on the floor, on the back, just lying down. And just start with the kind of classic, just finding the breath. So maybe you want to put the palms facing up to give yourself a little more space through the shoulders. And maybe just let the legs fall out a little bit. So start to inhale and exhale, feeling the belly rise and fall. With each inhale, feeling the space in the belly and the chest expand. With each exhale, releasing, letting everything sink away. Noticing where, if any, points of tension exist. Inhaling, expanding into the side body. Exhaling, letting everything go. Take a few more breaths. Equal, steady breaths. And then we'll come through just some movements. So bring the hands into a diamond shape around the belly button, the yoni mudra, the yoni womb hand position. So kind of a diamond shape with your index fingers and your thumbs touching. And then slowly on your inhale, start to take them up over the head, still in that diamond shape, and notice where you come to. Then bring the arms out, releasing the fingers into a cactus shape. Inhale, bring the fingers back together above the head and take it forward on your exhalation. Inhaling, take it up. Exhale, come into the cactus position. Inhale, bringing the fingers together, and exhale, coming back down. So take this again, following your own breath. Lovely. Let's take that one more time. So let's inhale, take it up. Exhale, bring the arms out to the cactus position. Inhale, take the arms back up, and exhale, release down. Keep the hands on the hips and bring the knees up so the feet are planted on the floor. So we're lying on our backs, feet down, hands on hips. And maybe just rock the hips from side to side. And then slowly bring the knees into the chest and rock on the lower back, backwards and forwards, side to side. You don't have to hold the knees, you can do whatever you like, make the circles as big or as small. This feels good. And then after a while, you might want to take them the opposite direction. Lovely. Coming back to center, let's come into a happy baby. So you might want to take the hands outside, the feet lovely. So thinking about keeping the legs kind of parallel, but not obsessively so, and then just do your own thing, exactly. And slowly again, coming back to the center. And then releasing the hands, releasing the feet down. Let's come into a few diagonal bridges. So let's press the forearms down perhaps, or whatever you like to do. If you'd like to interlace your fingers under the back, that's fine as well, of course. So press up into a diagonal, lifting the hips, pressing the feet forward, lovely. Just take a breath here. Then as you come down, imagine that you're laying pearls into a bed of velvet. So slowly does it. And then we'll take that 2 more times. So inhaling to come up, pressing forward through the knees, through the shins. And then exhaling to come down very gently. Say that one last time. And then releasing down when you're ready. Lovely. So we're going to stay on our back for just a little bit longer. So bring the feet to a sort of the knees to a tabletop position. So your feet are off the floor, your legs are in a tabletop, and we'll just start to rotate the ankles in one direction and then the other. So don't worry if you're like me and you're very clicky. You could also take your feet up to the ceiling and do this. Personal choice. So choose a place and just make some movements with the ankles. Lovely. And then pause and press the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. And this version of the Harita Karani, or even a shoulder stand version, this can be for if you don't fancy going into the lifting the whole back off. Bend the knees and plant the feet on the floor, and we'll just take some windscreen wiper legs to finish off this section. So dropping the knees down, bring them back to center. So you might want to have your arms out wide here, you might want to have them somewhere else. Totally your choice. Coming back to the center when you're ready. And then roll onto your side and we'll come up to seated gently. We're not going to rock up because we're just at the start. Lovely. So come to a seated position. Plant the fingertips onto the floor. Come back a little bit. Sink the sit bones down and then imagine that you're being lifted through the crown of the head. So finding a really long spine here. Take a few breaths here. Relax. Inhale, take the arms up. Interlace the fingers and take them behind the head. Round the back, zipping the head towards the chest. And then press the head back up. You might notice some tension in the scalp, you might not. Take this a couple of times. And notice as you come up, if you can retract the shoulder blades just a little bit. Lovely. Keeping the interlace, lift the fingers up and then bring them out in front of you. Come into some seated cat-cow. So maybe turn the palms so they're facing towards me. So taking your own breath. Rounding the back. Dropping the heads. And then long spine. So take a few more of these seated cat-cows. And then come back to center. Drop the hands down behind you and stretch the feet out, pointing the toes. And then just come into, so lift the chest, planting the palms so the fingers are facing forwards. And then just lift the chest, taking a gentle back bend here. Lovely. Slowly slide the knees in and come back to that cross leg position. Inhale, taking the arms up. Take one hand over the other wrist, and then we'll come into a side stretch. So whichever side works for you to start with, finding length. Come back up to the center when you're ready and swap hands and wrists and take that side stretch. Sink the shoulders away a little bit and then come back to center, lovely. Release the hands, drop the arms. Inhale, take the arms up forwards of the shoulders and then come into a twist. So drop one hand to the opposite knee, drop the other hand behind the hip. Sink the sit bones. Make sure you're finding a little bit of a twist here, so a little bit of that tea-towel twist. And then come back to the center. Inhale, take the arms up and then drop into that twist on the other side. Come back to the center. Take the arms out wide and then give yourself a big hug. Really, really squeeze the hug. And then open the arms out wide and retract the shoulder blades just a little bit. Let's do that again. So big hug. Take a breath here. Maybe you even want to massage into the shoulders a little bit here if you feel any tension in these muscles. And then opening out, retract the shoulder blades a little bit and drop the hands down. Stretch the legs out wide. So coming into Upavishta Konasana with your wide legs. If this is something that feels uncomfortable at this stage of the practice, keep a nice bend in the knee. Support with whatever blankets you need. And then slowly pad forwards. Imagine someone's drawing you forward from the belly button. And drop the hands wherever they come to. Draw the heels back towards you a little bit, so they're like sucker pads that are slowly pulling towards you, but your movement there is only tiny. And that might help you find a little bit more forward movement. Lovely. Slowly pad the hands back, keeping the legs wide. And then take one hand onto one of the legs, so the palm comes to the back of the calf. And I'm going to open out into a twist, a nice open twist. And then like a bow and arrow, close in, draw back and open out. So closing in, drawing back and opening out, lovely. And next time, you just close in, pause there for a second. And then slowly spider finger over to the other side. And we'll come into that open twist, this side. Lovely. So next time, keep it closed. Walk back to center, walk the hands back. And maybe drop the fingers back, pointing almost backwards this time. And again, just lift the chest, drawing the shoulder blades together. So the fingertips are planted, unless you've got longer arms than me, which you probably do, because most people do. And then drop the chest, come back to that central seated position. Bring one leg in, so you've still got one leg out wide and the other leg is in narrow. And then slowly start to readjust so that you're kind of facing forwards over the hips. So before you might have been slightly twisted. Bring the sole of the foot onto the calf or the shin, the Janushasana. So let's inhale, maybe take the arms up and then slowly find our way forwards. Again, I'd rather you came forwards with a long spine and you came forward an inch than you came forward 10 and it was all in the shoulders. And drop the hands wherever they come to. Lovely spine there. Take a few breaths here. Slowly coming back up to seated. Take one hand onto the sole of the foot, the other hand onto the knee, and lift it, and let's cross it over, just working it across the center line, making a little bit of movement in the hip region. And then when you're ready, drop it down. I mean, at any point, please readjust your seat if you feel like it's not quite right. And then depending on, so you're quite like me, your knee's quite high when you're across. So continue holding on to the knee to support it. And then slowly exhale and fold forwards. Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana. Half bound foot east to west pose. Think about internal rotation here. So the inside of the foot, the stretched out foot, is coming in rather than flopping out. Slowly come up to seated and let that crossed leg fall out until your legs are straight in front of you. We'll take that on the other side. So bring the knee, the foot in. So you're in Janu with your foot against whatever part of you it naturally sits. Inhale if you like, take the arms up, and exhale using the hips, the pelvis rather than the back. Fold forwards just to wherever feels comfortable. And maybe you want to try something different this time. Maybe you'd like to take your index and middle finger around the inside of the big toe. Or maybe not. It's up to you. Slowly coming up. And then taking that hip mobilizing action. Lovely. Keeping a flex foot here with both, and then dropping it down so the ankle sits on the thigh. You don't want the foot to be on the thigh, you'd rather have maybe the ankle. So keep a flex in that foot, and then folding forwards. Lovely. Couple more breaths. Slowly coming up. Stretching everything out. So maybe now you can rotate the feet, rotate the ankles. You might want to take another little back bend, or maybe the opposite direction. Just take a moment here. And then come up, all across the legs. And then we'll find our way forward onto all fours. So you can roll over the feet if that's available to you, or come off to the side. So come and find your way onto all fours. So here, let's just start with some hip movements. So they might be circles, they might be figures of 8. Personal choice. And bring the bottom back towards the heels before swinging everything forward over the wrists. Might hear quite a lot of clicking from my body too. But if you're at your desk a lot of the day, I think it's probably to be expected. So come back to center and just pause here for a moment. So slide one foot out and then lift it so that it's hip height. And then bend the knee so that the foot is facing up towards the sky. Lovely. And then think about lifting up through the belly, and then see if you can open out over. So this is like doing a scorpion, like a 3-legged dog, but on your, so you're kind of lifting up and over. Lovely, really, really nice. Keep equal weight if you can in those 2 hands. And then slowly come back so that you're still at a hip equal hip height, and then drop the knee down. Take that on the other side. So slide the foot out first. Lift the hips, lift the leg so it's equal to hip height. Bend the knee. Lift through the belly, and then take the leg over. Very nice. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So if you're not feeling like a three-legged dog, this is quite a nice way to do it. And obviously you've got a radiator behind you, but you can kind of drop down to on your back if you like, but you've got a radiator behind you, so I wouldn't recommend it. So let's come back out of it. So make sure you come back, find your levelness before you drop down, and then drop everything down. Lovely. So from here, let's take a thread the needle. So let's open the arm up wide and then slide it through. Notice if there's any point of tension. I often find this hits me kind of right in the kind of middle upper back. Open out again, taking the gaze with you, and then come back to center. Opening out the other side, bringing it through, opening out, and then bringing it back down. Take one leg forward, coming into a kneeling posture. So check the back foot, make sure everything's in line. Both sides of the foot are touching the mat or the floor, whatever's beneath you. Let's inhale, take the arms up, and then lunging forwards, coming into this low lunge. So you might want to walk your front foot a little bit further forward, and hopefully you'll feel this in your hip flexor at the front of the hip, maybe in your quads as well, or in your hamstrings. Lovely. Bring the hands together, pointing the index fingers, and then lean forwards, pointing the index fingers until they touch the floor. And you come back out of the lunge. Let's take that again. So inhale, take them up, point them forwards, lunging forward, and then drawing back. Release the hands down. Take the opposite hand to the bent knee, sorry, the front knee, I should say, up into the air, and then bring it across the body. So we'll come into a twist. So let me look at you. Your right, yes, lovely. Your right hand goes onto the sacrum, and your left hand goes onto the outside of the knee. If you like, if it's available to you, you can bring your left elbow onto the knee and come into namaste hands, but only if that feels right. So whatever you're doing, ground down, lift up through the belly, and use the oppositional forces in those hands to give you a little bit of strength. So pressing against the outside of the leg. Really nice. Using the belly to help you lift away, untangle everything, and come back to that kneeling position. Lovely. From here, we're going to come back to the shins. Take a moment, sit back onto the heels. You might want something underneath the bottom. So just notice if there's any tension in the top of the feet. There might not be. Sink the tailbone down. Try to resist any temptation to tilt everything forward. And take a deep cleansing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And let's come up to our shins again. We'll come into Vastrasana, camel pose. So we'll take our hands to the lower back. So really think about pressing the shins into the ground, the tops of the feet into the ground. You can actually do this against the wall if you want more purchase with your thighs, but that may be something for another time, another physical space for you. So sliding the hands down the lower back, retracting the shoulder blades. Sink the tailbone down, lift the chest. And then slowly, if you like, bringing yourself back, pressing forward with the thighs. So rather than just sinking back, to press forwards with the thighs. Lovely, maybe dropping the head back if you like. So if you'd rather bring your hands to your hips, that's fine too, wherever feels comfortable for you. Take another couple of breaths, wherever you are. And then come forwards, the head last. Let's take that again. So slide the hands down the lower back. How close they can come is fully about your personal shoulder mobility. And then come into that again. So sinking the tailbone down, pressing forward with the thighs, lifting with the heart. And then bringing yourself back, the head last. Sit back for a moment again on the heels. Let the shoulders sink away from the ears. Let the hands rest on the thighs. And then coming up onto the shins, we'll take that lunge on the other side. So taking the other leg. And then we're going to inhale, take the arms up, or if you prefer to keep them somewhere else, that's fine too. Walk the feet forward, foot forward if need be, and lunge into that front leg. Lovely. Bring the fingertips to meet and then lean forwards over the front leg and then drawing it back, coming out of the lunge. So that circular motion, pointing forwards, stretching over, stretching the shoulders back. So that one more time. And then come back to the kneeling position. Lovely. Coming out of the lunge, and then we'll come into the twist. So this is actually like a revolved, also can be part of a revolved side angle. So if you do a side angle, this is the next posture that will come as the sort of reverse of it. So inhale, take one arm, the opposite arm up, and then bring either the elbow or the palm to the bent knee, and come into that posture on the other side. Lovely. So really use the oppositional forces. So if the elbow's on the knee, press those two things against each other to give yourself a little bit more strength. And then you might feel this in the front of the hips, in the thighs, depending on your body. Lovely. Come back to the center, release everything. Tuck the back toe, maybe plant the palm if you need to, palms, and then we'll come up into a sort of standing forward fold, like a pyramid almost. And slowly lift yourself up to standing. Very nice. So here, bring both feet to meet and Tadasana mountain pose at the top of the mat. Lovely. Let's step out so that our feet are wide. And we'll turn one foot, we'll come into triangle here. So one foot faces out, one foot faces in 45 degrees. Take the belly over the front leg, lift the arms, and then slowly find your way into triangle. Hands wherever feels right. Gaze wherever feels right. And if your arm is up in the air, maybe use it to imagine that there's a buzzer that you're trying to press to lift you up, rather than letting everything come down and sink. And even if there isn't, maybe imagine that the shoulder is doing that. Lovely, really nice. So remember, this is a twist. So think about the lower body coming down towards the earth, the upper body opening out towards the sky. Perfect. Pressing your feet, and you're using your abdomen to bring you back up to standing. Since we're here, we're already in position for warrior two. So let's stay with our feet exactly where they are and bend the front knee. Let's take the hands up through the center of the body and drop them out. Then turn the palms so that they're facing up, and then drop the palms so that you've got kind of Spider-Man web hands. You can probably see what I'm doing, yeah. So imagine you're shooting webs out of your wrists. Lovely. And just take that warrior two with your Spider-Man hands for a moment, trying something different. Lovely. Straighten the legs and point the arms up into a star. And then come down into your Spider-Man wrists again. And then up to the star. Drop down. Let's flip the palms. And let's come into a side angle. So keep the bend in that knee and drop the forearm down onto the thigh. You might want to readjust the feet here. Lovely. Take the hand, your left hand to the back of your head, and then close the elbow down towards the lower hand that's off the knee. Open out so that it's up to the sky, and then stretch the arm overhead. And take the gaze, but not the whole head, with you. Use this time to check, am I sinking? Am I using my abdomen? I can tell you that today I'm struggling with this one. My front of my thighs are very tight. And take that upper hand back, straighten the front leg and press yourself up to standing. Lovely. Turn the feet so that they're facing forward. Take the hands onto the hips and come into a wide leg forward fold. So grounding through the feet, bending the knees, keeping them somewhat in line, folding forwards from the pelvis. And then take your hands, your fingers, or your hands towards the floor. Lovely. Draw up through the belly. And whichever feels better, let the head go or find length in the neck. Depends what needs supporting more. Plant the palms or the fingertips. Press down to the feet and the hands. Up through the belly. Find your breath. Bend the knees. And exhale, take the hands to the hips. Take one more inhale, one more exhale. Drawing up through the belly. Come up standing, finding some retraction in the shoulder blades. Lovely. Turn the feet in the opposite direction. We'll come into warrior two on the other side. So taking a moment to readjust the feet. Facing 45 degrees. Bend the front knee. And then you're already ahead of me. You've got left for rider. Lovely. This is just a slightly different technique. You know, I think it's kind of fun because you're kind of imagining you're Spider-Man. So, but that's not really the sole purpose. But like it helps with the idea around like working into the shoulder blades a little bit more than if you just have it down. Lovely. Straighten the front leg, come into that star. So arms up into a star. Bend the front knee, come back down. And then take that up to the star. bend down into Spider-Man, and then drop the hands to the hips. And then since we're already here, we'll take side angle. So take side angle, lovely. So bring that hand to the back of the head, if you feel comfortable doing that. And then bring the elbow down to meet the hand. And this just gives you a little bit more space when you open out and then you stretch overhead. Lovely. So take the gaze towards the top hand, but not the whole neck. So see if you can just do it with your eyes rather than the whole head yanking back. Press your upper arm onto your ear. So bring it a little bit closer if you can. Yeah, just to get the line a little more between the head and the arm. Lovely. Take a couple more breaths. And then using the belly and the feet, press yourself up to standing. Lovely. Let's turn the feet so that your front foot is still facing towards the front, but your hips are facing towards the front as well. Your back foot is out 45 degrees. Let's take the arms out wide, palms facing back. And then either bring the fists to meet, hands to elbows, come into or reverse namaste, whatever suits you. Draw back to go forward. So think about as if you're in the sea and a wave is about to hit you and you're just bracing for impact. And then slowly folding forwards again, trying to come from the hips, the pelvis, not the shoulders. And come forward at the inside of that front leg, retracting through the shoulder blades. So it doesn't matter if you don't come very low. What we want to do is make sure we have strength through the center line, strength through the abdomen, and strength through the legs. Keeping a slight bend in both of the legs just to make sure you're not hyperextending. And then again, the same ideas, using the feet and the belly to bring you up to standing. Bring both feet level. Step the other foot back and we'll take that on the other side. So let's stretch the arms out again, just give them a moment and then bring them behind. And then drawing back to come forwards, fold forwards over that front leg. Really nice, Naomi. Got absolutely lovely technique. Don't forget to breathe. Lovely. Take one more breath. And then see if you can release the arms out while you're here. And then slowly drop them down towards the floor. Bend the knee. And then slowly bend the other leg. So we're staying down. And then we're going to step one leg back, then the other leg back. So yeah, one leg back and the other leg back until you come. I'm trying to get you onto all fours, but it didn't really work. Sorry. Yeah, so essentially I was trying to kind of say, from here, if we drop it down, we bend both knees, and then we step one back, and then we can come onto all fours, but I didn't explain it very well. Apologies. You're on all fours, it's great. And now you're fine, you're good. You're exactly where I wanted you to be.
Great stuff.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So from here, let's come down onto the belly. Take a moment here in Makrasana. Oh, yes, you can still see me. So take your one hand under the other, press the forehead, and just rock the hips a little bit. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And then take one arm out wide. So actually it's quite hard for you to see me. I'm going to come back onto the shoulder. So I quite like to have my palm up, and on my front I've got one arm down like this, so my palm is down, my elbow's up at kind of 90-degree angle, and I'm just going to roll back onto that shoulder. I need to have one leg up, one leg out, and I can drop my head down. You might need to watch me do this, or you might already be in it. I can't tell, you're already in it. There you go. So this is just a little to help get into the shoulders a little bit. So try to relax the head if you can. Yeah. Because what happens is we try and strain it a little bit, but you just want to roll back onto it. Play around with turning the palm up and down. See if that makes any difference.
Yeah, up.
Yeah, up is much easier, I think. I know it seems like it is a weird posture, but it just digs a little bit into the shoulder.
Quite comfy. Like,
Yeah, I like it, but not everybody does. So sometimes if I teach it, I don't always teach it, and it's hard to explain, especially on video, but you figured it out, so you're fine. So this is a posture where you can stay for as long as you like, but I'm not going to keep you there forever. So why don't we come out and take it on the other side? So you will probably notice a difference between the two sides. You might get a little click. I often get a little click. I have tonight. And try and drop the head down, because if you're holding up here, you're kind of having to really try and it's the additional weight of the head. That's not much fun. So some people, when they do this, I'm not quite sure how, can come into like a sort of a bridge while they're doing it, but for me, just one leg is quite as far as my body wants to go.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, yeah, you can play with it, but yeah. When you're ready, rolling back out. Coming back onto the front.
Oh, no. Right, that was good.
You okay? You're right.
Yeah, I liked it.
You like it? Okay.
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, first person ever. Good, excellent. Yeah, it's just a really easy thing you can do to get into the top of the shoulder when you're just lying about, really.
Yeah.
So, nice and easy. Well, let's come into, so you, I think, are generally okay with bow pose, aren't you? Being able to tick your leg. Or do you tend to need warm up for it, or are you quite happy to go into it like?
Okay.
Okay, let's do it then. I recently discovered that if I'm warmed up enough, I can actually still do it, which was very exciting. So for you, you might do it slightly differently. The way that I have discovered I like to do it is to come up sort of onto one elbow, and then I have to go into it one at a time. But I don't know if you would like to come into it both at a time. Yeah, see, you've got a lot more. There you go. So press the feet into the hands into the feet, press the thighs up, lift the chest, take the gaze down a little bit rather than, yeah. Engage the abdominals. Lovely. Working into the quads, hamstrings, and then sink down and let it go. So one of the things you can do with that, if you want to play with, is when you're holding, you have to be holding on to them very, you have to really be comfortable with it. You're holding on to both your feet. You can rock from side to side while holding onto your feet. I'm not going to make you do it. I just wanted to tell you, because I know that you've got a really nice strong practice, and there are things that you might want to play with sometime. But you really have to be in a position where, as you can see, if I'm like this, I can't just reach them. So you have to feel comfortable when you're doing it.
Yeah.
When you're in this posture, the key things you want to be thinking about is not hinging into the lower back. So you want to be drawing up through the belly, pressing, imagine that you're pressing the thighs kind of upwards. You're lifting the chest, but you're not, if you find that you're hinging, come down a little bit and draw the tailbone down as you lift up, if that makes sense. You need to kind of have a balance that prevents you from hinging into the lower back, because otherwise you're just going to end up hurting your lower back, and that's absolutely not what I want from you.
No.
Or for you, not from you. Okay, so let's stretch out the arms in front of us and point everything. So take a really long stretch. And then slowly lift everything off. So see if you can lift the fingers away from the floor, lift the legs, lovely. And then release everything down. Plant the forearms and come up into a seal. So plant the forearms and just come up into that smaller back bend, very nice. Exhale, release down. Inhale, come up into the seal again. Draw the shoulder blades together and then sink down. Come up again and come into bow again if you feel okay too. And this time really think about, just don't take it too far, but just think about sinking the tailbone, not hinging into their back. Using the oppositional forces. Lovely. Engage the belly. Yeah, and play, but just don't hit the radiator.
Oh yeah, no, it's far enough away. It's fine.
Okay, I can't really tell because of the filming. Yeah, the question is, when you get onto one side, can you get back? That's the bit where you kind of go, "Rah!"
Okay.
But it's quite fun to play with, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, and then release and let everything go. Well done. Let's come back into a child, take a few breaths, or something that you feel is like a nice counterpose to that, because everybody's different with what they like. Yeah. It's really important to know what you want to do. So if I tell you to do something, you're like, actually, I think I would prefer to be somewhere else. You know, that's totally viable. So take a few more breaths here. And then let's slowly find your way up onto your heels. So we're going to just come back to a seated position, cross-leg seated position. So let's close with just a couple of seated positions. You're in Padmasana, your hands can be on the floor. Again, we'll find that length that we found at the top of the practice. So press the fingertips or the palms in. Sink the tailbone, sink the shoulders down towards the ground. Taking another 5 or so breaths here. And just before we take Shavasana, let's bring our hands and come into Shining Heart. So Shining Heart, we cross one hand over the other and interlace the little finger, the ring and the index, and then bring the middle and the thumb to meet lovely. And then if you like, you can keep it here or you can lift it up, which you might feel a bit in your shoulder blades or not. Depends on if you've got as dodgy a back as I do. So take a few breaths. Imagine light pulsing out from your hands Imagine energy connecting through the thumb, the middle finger. Circular motion, going around the whole body. And then sink the hands down. Take a few more breaths just with the hands in front of the chest in this hand position. And slowly release. Maybe wiggle the fingers if you feel like they need it. Let everything go. And then find your way slowly, carefully down onto the back, getting ready for Shavasana or rest posture. So if you need anything, a blanket, something for the head, whatever you need, just get yourself where you need to be. Starting to find those deeper, calmer breaths, starting to maybe extend your exhalations just a touch, activating the calming side of the body, the parasympathetic nervous system. Letting everything go, letting the body sink down into the earth, back of the head, the backs of the shoulders, the backs of the arms, the backs of the hands, back of the shoulders, the torso, the lower back, the legs, backs of the feet. Imagining the energy settling over you like a blanket. Relaxing and resting. So maybe starting to find some deeper breaths. Maybe starting to bring the body back into the space. You might feel heavy. Stay with that feeling of grounding. Maybe start to find a little bit of movement in the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. And start to just move as feels right for you. So maybe drawing things in or stretching out, whatever feels like the right thing to do right now. And then when you're ready, bring the knees in. And then slowly come over onto one side, pillowing the head with the hands, taking a few deep breaths here. Just letting the breath return to normal, but letting hopefully a sense of calm permeate the body. And then when you're ready, if you like, you can stay here or find your way up to seated, whatever feels correct for you. Just taking a couple of releasing breaths to close the practice. So let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth together. So let's start inhaling, exhaling, and again inhaling, exhaling. One more time. Exhaling. Bring the left palm, the right palm together at the center of the chest, the Anjali Mudra. Taking a moment to thank yourself for coming to practice. And with an open mind and an open heart, the light in me honors the light in you. Thank you. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you.